Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things. This is part 2 of our full-time RVing update after 5 years of being on the road. This is going to focus on the trailer fixes and modifications that we have made to our 2018 Grand Design 303 RLS. We definitely love this trailer. This is our second fifth wheel since we've been on the road full-time. It is the same layout as the first fifth wheel that we have, but it's a little bit shorter. It's like 2 feet shorter, and it's made with a lot sturdier materials. The first trailer we should never have gotten. It was a half-ton model. This is a full heavy weight with heavier materials, more quality build for people who do want to live in it full-time. We had thought about the Solitude, which is the next model up, which is even more sturdy and fancier than this, but we really didn't feel that we needed it. You know, in hindsight, it did offer some cool features that we would love to have today, but overall this trailer has met our needs and we've enjoyed every minute of it. And, you know, we are in it full time, so it's definitely, if we didn't like it, we would have been miserable, and we have enjoyed traveling in it. All right, so this is just my list of reference. I don't have like pictures or anything or details. We haven't really done in the last year a ton of videos on our travels and the different things that we have done to the trailer. But you can go online. Most of the things that we've done are things that there's already so many videos out there. So this will just give you an idea of which of those things that are out there on the internet that we chose to do and how we feel about how they worked out for us. One of the earlier things that we did was really beneficial for living at my mom's. We have hung out at my mom's in the last couple of years here and there for weeks at a time because we were doing some of these modifications, and they're not the kinds of things that you want to do in a campground or 1,000 trails. So we bought this WeBoost modem and telescoping pole that is on the back of the trailer, and it has worked wonderfully for giving us a signal when we're kind of in a tweener place or we're in a valley at my mom's. We get that antenna up, and we were actually able to play our online games at my mom's. And the first couple of years, we never even went there. We stayed there before I quit work, and the internet was terrible. We bought repeaters and installed them, but her internet is terrible. So when we finally went back there and bought this boosting modem, it actually made our internet better than my mom's internet, which is crazy. So I do highly recommend it. I will say one caveat. The antenna is small, the internal antenna, that is, and you have to put your modem. We have two networks that work together. We each get one, and you have to set the modems like right there next to the antenna. It's not like you can have the MiFi's 5 or 10 feet away. It for whatever reason, for ours, you have to set them right there. I know that there are some other modems out there now, maybe even more expensive than what we ended up with, that you can have your cellular devices like your phones 8 to 10 feet away and they will work. This does not quite work that good. So that was huge. When we were on the coast last year, avoiding the snow and freezing temperatures, we were opening the kitchen slide, and I saw it tear a little part of our floor, and I panicked. And so we have done a fix. The entire length, it's a 12-foot long super slide thing, and it has 3/4 inch plywood, and it has 3 rollers, and on the fireplace side and on the refrigerator side, I noticed warping on the 3/4 inch, so it dips down. And underneath that plywood are these skid plate things that are black plastic. And the one under the fridge ended up angled to the point where it was a sharp edge was what tore our vinyl, but it's a little tiny tear. And I did not want it to happen again. So before we ended up finding a fix for this, we would actually both have to be in there for opening the slide, and a hub would push up on the refrigerator side to just keep that edge from hitting the vinyl that we have. And he went out to Home Depot and bought some tubing, steel tubing. I would say it's a little over 1-inch square tubing. He painted it flat black. He took out the 12-foot long decorative strip. It has been replaced by this tubing, and he made holes every 6 inches to put sunk screws. And when he took the long screws and screwed them into the plywood, it in essence sucked up the warping part of this 3/4 inch plywood so that along the front it's all flat. Then he laid down, and those black plastic pads that are to make it slide nicely along the floor, he filed down the sharp edge, and now our problem is fixed. I don't even know. I didn't ask him how much he paid for this tubing, but it wasn't a ton. But yeah, it looks really nice all done. You can't really tell that it isn't the nice decorative tubing, and it definitely looks very sturdy. So the third thing now that we did was added a thermostat. That's a thermostat controlled little fan, and he wired it in behind the fridge, and it has ran off and on by the temperature that he set it at for over a year now. We knew we were going to a very warm climate, so it has worked pretty hard this year, and I noticed not too long ago that when it's on, you can hear it. So I think he might need to blow the fan out, or it might even need to be replaced. It's a little bit on the noisy side, and I think it would be annoying for neighbors. So that's something that's been in there a while, and we might want to play around with it a little bit. So another thing on the very hot days, this was, a lot of our fixes had to do with, we know we're going to Florida. We need to make sure that we're going to be able to handle the heat. So it was very hot when we moved in August and we went across the Midwest. I would say by the time we hit, Nebraska, it was starting to get really hot and muggy. So we started getting our fans out, and we have found that where the basement underneath the toilet and bathroom area there's the wall, and then we have some cabinets. There is some cabinetry. There's an airflow going between the two, and we would feel the heat coming in from the basement. So we just put a fan directed toward that hole underneath the drawers to push the basement air out. And it also, he finds, kind of helps the circulation under the basement from everything getting really hot and muggy and stagnant. So next thing you know, he was researching our AC unit down here in the living space. We have an AC up in the bedroom that is overkill for the bedroom. So it like freezes the bedroom down to 70 in a heartbeat. But down here, our AC unit was really working hard. And it also, the cold air comes out, I would say, the north and south ends of the air conditioning unit, but we have HVAC ducting. So he was researching how to get more of the air to flow into the ducting. And at this point, now there's multiple systems that you can buy. Just search on RV airflow system, he says, and then you will get a whole bunch of results of a variety of different kits. But we did the DIY solution where he went and bought rigid foam insulation and cut it and shaped it perfectly to form, I would call it like a tent. And then he blocked the airflow coming out the north and south side, and the ducts that are east-west now get all of the airflow. And he just made it so that it's airtight, and the cold air coming out of our ducts overhead is amazing. And even now, the bedroom ducts that you hardly felt any cold air up there get cold air even in the very hot weather that we have a temperature control on our upper AC, and it's really noisy. So we like that this AC unit down in the living room can now push enough cold air up there to really help that bedroom not to have the loud AC unit running. So at night, we don't ever have to run it anymore. We used to have to run it on hot days, but now we no longer have to, so that's great. But I would still recommend, in a hot climate, having 2 AC units. I'm reading my notes here. So that pretty much takes care of his DIY for the airflow. We found a tiny leak in our original water pump. This summer we replaced it with a new water pump. He still has the old one, with the idea that he may rebuild it, or it's just in an emergency we could swap out to using it in a pinch if something happens to the new one. We both had a really hard time. This unit is 4 years old, and about a year ago, our gate metal handles, they're long cables, the cables started to rust for draining our tanks. And so it got so bad, he actually pulled off one of the cables, broke when he was pulling it, and it got to the point where I couldn't even pull it at all. So one of the treks to my mom's house last summer was to install brand new 12-volt power gate valves. I think they were around 230 to 260 for the full set of 3 of them, because we have 2 gray tanks and a black. And oh my goodness, what heaven that is. It just makes dumping so easy. There's no, the gate valves open and close at the gate, and then there's just wiring coming up, so you don't have to worry about these big, long, 12-foot long cables breaking. So I don't understand why rigs like this don't even come as an option with power gate valves. So that was one of my favorite fixes he did. Then, in addition to that, because we did get our new truck, it's now 2 years old. Well, I guess technically 3, but we bought it at the end of 2019. It's a 2019 truck, and we did not put a crane. If you've watched our older videos, we used a crane to move our giant gray and black water tank tote up and down into the truck. So with the new truck, he didn't want to drill holes in it. So instead, he bought a macerator and installed a power outlet to run it. So now it macerates our black tank sewer material, and it pushes all the water from the gray tank up into the tote that lives in the truck. So hundreds of pounds of icky sewer water does not have to get craned up and down with the possibility of mistakes. And then we can just go to a dump station in the park. So it makes it really easy for those campgrounds that do not have sewer. We finally, with this trailer, we had already done this initially with the old trailer. I don't even know why we didn't put Reflectix, which is the silver insulation bubble wrap stuff. Put it in the windows, and then Hub went one step further and saw some videos. Again, most of this stuff, he gets his ideas from the internet. And he went ahead and lined all of our cabinetry, our dresser, the overhead cabinets over the bed, all on the external walls and on the sides. And they are so much cooler. You used to open up, like to get clothing out of the closet, you could open it up and heat would emanate. And so adding Reflectix to every single external non-visible wall space, if he could, he would probably add Reflectix to every wall here, but I didn't want to live in a silver tin can. So we stopped at not putting it in visible spaces. We will put it in our windows and then close. We have black shades, so we can close the shades if we're not going to have any light coming from that window. And I am very, very happy with Reflectix, but I was happy with it the first time around that we did it. And then the final change that we made, we decided right before we left my mom's, we had done the tank changes and the macerator install. We decided, since my mom was willing, to put our hide-a-bed in the back of the trailer in her spare room, which would actually work for me if I ever come to visit her. I don't have to sleep in a blow-up mattress. I get to sleep on our hide-a-bed. We took that out so that we could put some workout equipment. We bought a workout bench and some weights, and that all fits back against the wall and is perfect because we never sat there. It just was used to store stuff. So I was very happy that we actually removed the couch. So that pretty much sums up every single change that I can think of that we made to this trailer. Physically, it looks the same. The only difference when you look around, everything is stock except the couch is gone. So everything else that we've done is pretty much under the hood type fixes and changes. And we are in Florida, and we are very happy with the temperature in here. Stays pretty comfortable. Sometimes we will feel it'll start to be warm more than normal. We have to turn the AC off because too much ice forms up in the lines, and so we try not to let that happen because that's probably not a good thing. So that's the only thing to be wary of with the RV airflow system, whether you do a kit or you do your own DIY, is to make sure that the ducts don't fill up with ice. Before I go, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You can leave your questions, comments, or concerns on this video or over on my blog, where you will find our email address at the bottom of every page. And thanks for watching.